On a warm afternoon in London, the soft hum of the bustling city surrounded a quaint, unassuming cafe tucked away from the main thoroughfares. The Velvet Rose was a gem hidden in plain sight, known for its homemade pastries and impeccable service. Among its staff was Amelia Johnson, a spirited young woman whose warm smile and unyielding determination shone through even the longest of shifts. Amelia was a waitress, her days filled with the rhythm of serving coffee, carrying trays, and sharing brief but meaningful exchanges with customers. Though life hadn't been kind to her, she held her head high and worked tirelessly to make ends meet for herself and her younger brother. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. Amelia had faced her fair share of challenges as a black woman in a demanding industry, often met with assumptions and prejudices that sought to undermine her efforts. Yet she carried herself with grace, her vibrant personality endearing her to the cafe's regular patrons. She often dreamed of a future beyond the cafe walls, imagining a world where her passion for art could flourish. But for now, the Velvet Rose was her reality, a place that had become both her sanctuary and her battleground. On this particular afternoon, the cafe buzzed with activity. The air was filled with the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the chatter of customers escaping the chaos of the city. Amelia moved deftly between tables, her steps quick but unhurried, her presence a calming force amid the flurry. She had just set down a tray of croissants when she noticed an unusual stillness among the staff. Whispers rippled through the cafe, heads turning toward the door. Intrigued, Amelia glanced up and froze. Standing at the entrance, flanked by a discreet security detail, was none other than Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge. Dressed in an elegant yet understated ensemble, Kate's presence exuded both grace and humility. She greeted the cafe owner with a warm smile, her demeanor putting everyone at ease. The cafe seemed to hold its collective breath as Kate scanned the room, her gaze eventually landing on Amelia. A subtle nod from the Duchess signaled her intent to sit in Amelia's section. Amelia's heart raced as she composed herself, smoothing her apron and clutching her notepad. Though she prided herself on her professionalism, the prospect of serving royalty felt surreal. As she approached the table, she was met with Kate's kind smile, a gesture that immediately eased her nerves. "Good afternoon," Amelia greeted, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. "Welcome to the Velvet Rose. What can I get for you today?" Kate glanced at the menu briefly before responding. "The Earl Grey tea, please, and perhaps one of your scones. I've heard wonderful things about them." Amelia jotted down the order, her confidence growing with each passing moment. "Excellent choice, ma'am. I'll bring those right out." As she walked back to the counter, Amelia couldn't help but notice the curious gazes of her colleagues and the hushed excitement that filled the air. The Duchess of Cambridge, a global icon, was seated at one of their tables, and Amelia had the honor of serving her. She allowed herself a brief smile before focusing on the task at hand. Preparing the tea and selecting the finest scone, she ensured everything was perfect before returning to Kate's table. "Here you are, ma'am," Amelia said, placing the tea and scone before the Duchess with practiced elegance. "Please let me know if there's anything else you need." Kate took a sip of her tea and nodded approvingly. "It's wonderful, thank you. And the scone looks delightful." Amelia felt a surge of pride at the compliment. As she stepped back to allow Kate her privacy, she couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was different. There was an energy in the air, a sense of significance that she couldn't quite place. The afternoon wore on, and Amelia continued to tend to her other tables, though her attention often drifted to the Duchess. Kate remained at the cafe for nearly an hour, enjoying her tea and scone while occasionally jotting notes in a small notebook. Amelia couldn't help but wonder what thoughts occupied the mind of someone who lived a life so far removed from her own. Finally, as Kate prepared to leave, she beckoned Amelia over. The young waitress approached, her curiosity piqued. "Thank you for your wonderful service today," Kate said, her voice sincere. "You've made this visit truly enjoyable." "It's been my pleasure, ma'am," Amelia replied, her cheeks flushing with gratitude. Kate reached into her bag and pulled out a small envelope. Handing it to Amelia, she said, "This is for you. Please read it when you have a moment." Amelia accepted the envelope with trembling hands, her mind racing with questions. What could the Duchess possibly have to say to her? Before she could ask, Kate offered a parting smile and exited the cafe, her security detail trailing behind. As soon as the door closed behind her, Amelia was swarmed by her co-workers, their voices a cacophony of excitement and speculation. But Amelia barely heard them. Her focus was on the envelope in her hands, its weight both literal and symbolic. Retreating to a quiet corner of the cafe, she took a deep breath and carefully opened it. Inside was a handwritten note on elegant stationery, the script as refined as its author. As Amelia read the words, tears filled her eyes. Dear Amelia, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the extraordinary kindness and grace you've shown today. Your warmth and professionalism have left a lasting impression on me, and I can see the dedication you pour into your work. I know that life in your position is not always easy, and I can sense the strength and resilience that have brought you this far. Please know that your efforts do not go unnoticed, and the impact you have on those around you is profound. Enclosed is a small token of my appreciation. It is my hope that it might provide you with an opportunity to pursue your dreams, whatever they may be. You deserve every chance to shine. With warm regards, Kate Middleton. Beneath the note was a check, the amount so generous that Amelia's breath caught in her throat. It was enough to cover several months of rent, her brother's school fees, and still leave room to invest in her art supplies. The enormity of the gesture overwhelmed her, and she clutched the note to her chest as tears streamed down her face. Her colleagues, sensing the gravity of the moment, gathered around her in quiet support. Amelia shared the note with them, her voice trembling as she read it aloud. The room fell silent, the weight of Kate's words and actions sinking in. It wasn't just the financial gift that moved Amelia, it was the recognition, the validation of her worth and her struggles that meant everything. In the days that followed, Amelia's life began to change in ways she had never imagined. News of the Duchess's visit and her generous gesture spread, bringing attention to Amelia's story. Local media outlets reached out for interviews, and the cafe saw a surge in customers, many inspired by the tale of a young woman whose kindness and hard work had touched the heart of royalty. With the financial burden eased, Amelia was able to reduce her hours at the cafe and dedicate more time to her art. She set up a small studio in her apartment where she poured her heart into creating pieces that reflected her journey. Each stroke of the brush was imbued with gratitude, hope, and a renewed sense of purpose. Months later, Amelia held her first art exhibition, a culmination of her dreams and the support that had made them possible. The gallery was filled with friends, family, and patrons who had followed her story. Among them was a familiar figure, her presence both surprising and heartwarming. Kate Middleton had come to see the exhibition, her genuine interest in Amelia's work shining through as she admired each piece. Amelia approached the Duchess, her heart brimming with gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "You changed my life in ways I never thought possible." Kate smiled, her eyes warm with understanding. "You've always had the strength and talent within you, Amelia. I simply wanted to give you the chance to let it shine. And look at what you've accomplished." The two women shared a moment of mutual respect, their connection a testament to the power of kindness and the ways in which a single act can ripple outward, transforming lives. For Amelia, the encounter with the Duchess was more than a chance meeting. It was the beginning of a journey toward a brighter future, one she would cherish and honor for the rest of her life. The days following the extraordinary encounter at the Velvet Rose transformed Amelia's life into something she could scarcely recognize. As the cafe returned to its familiar hum of daily operations, the events of that fateful afternoon lingered like a melody in Amelia's heart. Yet, what truly surprised her was the wave of community support that followed Kate Middleton's gesture. Soon after news of the encounter spread, the Velvet Rose saw an influx of new patrons. Journalists and bloggers who had heard the story turned their focus on Amelia, eager to understand the woman who had inspired such a remarkable act of generosity. For someone who had lived her life in relative obscurity, the sudden attention was overwhelming. Each day brought new requests for interviews, invitations to events, and heartfelt letters from strangers who had been touched by her story. Amelia grappled with the whirlwind, but she remained grounded. Though grateful for the interest, she made it clear that she didn't want the spotlight to diminish the values she held dear. "I'm just a regular person, she often said in interviews. "I've been given an incredible gift, but I want to make sure I use it to create something meaningful, for myself and for others." The financial security the Duchess had provided gave Amelia the freedom to explore opportunities she'd only dreamed of before. For years, she had sketched quietly in the margins of her life, often on scraps of paper during breaks at work or late at night when exhaustion battled her creative instincts. Now, she had the chance to dive fully into her passion. With a portion of the money, she enrolled in an art program at a local college. Walking into the studio for the first time, surrounded by blank canvases and vibrant paints, Amelia felt an exhilarating mix of joy and trepidation. Her assignments reignited a sense of wonder she hadn't felt since childhood. Under the guidance of seasoned professors, she honed her technique, learning to channel her emotions into each piece. Her art began to take on new dimensions, drawing from her experiences and the people who had shaped her journey. Her paintings told stories of resilience, love, and the quiet strength of ordinary people. They became a tapestry of her life, woven with colors and textures that reflected her soul. Despite her busy schedule, Amelia continued to work part-time at the Velvet Rose. The cafe had been more than a place of employment. It was a space where she learned the value of hard work and forged connections with people from all walks of life. It also allowed her to remain in touch with the community that had embraced her so warmly. Customers often asked her about her art, and she enjoyed sharing updates about her progress. Amelia also found ways to pay forward the kindness she had received. She partnered with local organizations to offer free art workshops for children and teens from underprivileged backgrounds. These workshops became a source of immense joy for her as she watched young people discover their own creative voices. "Art saved me," she would tell them. "It gave me a way to express myself when words weren't enough, and it can do the same for you." Meanwhile, her burgeoning art career took off in unexpected ways. A local gallery owner who had heard her story visited one of her workshops and was immediately struck by the authenticity and depth of her work. "There's something raw and powerful in your paintings," he told her. "They tell a story that people need to see." He offered her a spot in an upcoming group exhibition, a prospect that both thrilled and terrified her. The months leading up to the exhibition were a flurry of activity. Amelia poured every ounce of herself into her work, often staying up late into the night to complete pieces. She created a series titled Reflections of Grace, inspired by her life before and after her encounter with the Duchess. Each painting was deeply personal, a visual diary of her struggles, triumphs, and dreams. The night of the exhibition arrived, and Amelia found herself standing in the gallery, surrounded by her creations. The space was filled with people, friends, family, art enthusiasts, and even strangers who had been moved by her story. The room buzzed with excitement as attendees admired the artwork, their conversations punctuated by exclamations of admiration. Amelia's heart swelled with pride and gratitude as she mingled with the crowd. She spotted familiar faces among the attendees, including some of her colleagues from the Velvet Rose who had come to support her. Their presence was a poignant reminder of where she had started and the community that had rallied around her. As the evening progressed, Amelia was approached by a well-dressed man who introduced himself as an art collector. "Your work is remarkable," he said, his tone earnest. "I'd like to purchase several pieces for my collection, and I hope you'll consider showcasing your work internationally in the future." The prospect of having her art displayed on a global stage left Amelia momentarily speechless. She thanked the collector, her mind racing with the possibilities his words had opened up. It was a far cry from the modest sketches she had once created in stolen moments at the cafe. As the exhibition drew to a close, Amelia felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to find the Duchess of Cambridge standing before her, a warm smile lighting up her face. Dressed elegantly but with characteristic simplicity, Kate Middleton had made a quiet entrance, avoiding fanfare. "Amelia," she said, her voice as kind and genuine as Amelia remembered. "I couldn't miss this. Your work is extraordinary." Tears pricked Amelia's eyes as she struggled to find the right words. "Thank you, ma'am," she managed, her voice trembling. "None of this would have been possible without your kindness." Kate shook her head gently. "Don't diminish your own strength. You've done this. Your talent, your perseverance. I only gave you a small nudge. You've always had the potential to shine." The two women walked through the gallery together, pausing to admire the paintings. Kate asked thoughtful questions about each piece, her genuine interest evident. She expressed particular admiration for a painting titled Roots and Wings, which depicted a tree with deep gnarled roots and vibrant soaring branches. "This feels like a metaphor for you," she said, grounded yet reaching for the sky. By the end of the evening, Amelia felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. The journey that had brought her to this moment was one she would never forget, and she knew it was only the beginning. The support she had received from the Duchess, her community, and the strangers who had been inspired by her story had given her a platform to not only pursue her dreams, but also uplift others along the way. In the months that followed, Amelia continued to make waves in the art world. Her pieces were featured in exhibitions across the country, and she began receiving invitations to collaborate with other artists. Yet despite her growing success, she remained deeply connected to her roots. She expanded her workshops, reaching more young people and using her story to inspire them to pursue their own dreams. Amelia also maintained her relationship with the Duchess, who became a quiet but consistent source of encouragement. They exchanged occasional letters, and Kate attended several of Amelia's events, always offering words of support and admiration. Their bond, forged in a moment of shared humanity, became a testament to the power of compassion. Years later, Amelia stood in a sunlit studio that overlooked the city skyline. The space was filled with canvases in various stages of completion, each one a reflection of her journey. On a nearby table lay a framed photograph of herself and Kate Middleton, taken at her first exhibition. It was a reminder of the day her life had changed and the woman whose kindness had set her on a new path. As she prepared for her next exhibition, this time in Paris, Amelia reflected on how far she had come. She thought of the Velvet Rose, the cafe where her story had begun, and the dreams she had nurtured in its quiet corners. She thought of her younger brother, now thriving in college, and the workshops that had become a source of joy and purpose. Above all, she thought of the note that had started it all. A simple message from a stranger who had seen her worth and chosen to invest in her future. It was a reminder that even the smallest acts of kindness could spark profound change, creating ripples that extended far beyond what anyone could imagine. Amelia picked up her brush and turned to the blank canvas before her, her heart filled with gratitude and determination. She was ready to create, to dream, and to continue the legacy of grace and generosity that had been bestowed upon her. And as the first strokes of color met the canvas, she smiled, knowing that her story was far from over. Amelia's journey into her new life, one filled with creativity, purpose, and recognition, was just beginning to unfold in ways she never thought possible. The spark of hope that had been ignited by the Duchess's act of kindness had become a roaring flame, illuminating paths that she could not have envisioned before. Yet, the deeper her life intertwined with her newfound success, the more she discovered the layers of challenges, joys, and revelations that accompanied it. The transition from a modest waitress at the Velvet Rose to a celebrated artist was exhilarating, but it also came with an undercurrent of self-discovery. Amelia had spent so long in survival mode, working tirelessly, focusing on her brother's future and making ends meet, that she now found herself grappling with the luxury of introspection. For the first time in years, she had the space to ask herself what she truly wanted from life. Her art became a vessel for these explorations. She began experimenting with new techniques, pushing herself beyond the confines of what she thought she could do. One series, titled Boundless, featured abstract depictions of individuals breaking free from invisible barriers, their forms blending into the vibrant, unrestrained colors of the background. Critics praised the series as visually stunning and emotionally liberating, but for Amelia, it was deeply personal. It was her way of processing the limitations she had once felt in her own life and celebrating the freedom she now embraced. However, the public attention also brought its share of difficulties. Amelia quickly realized that not everyone who approached her had good intentions. Invitations to collaborate with prestigious organizations or participate in high-profile events were sometimes motivated more by her backstory than by genuine appreciation for her art. Some people sought to capitalize on her fame, offering deals that prioritized their gain over her vision. Amelia learned to navigate these challenges with the same grace and resilience that had carried her through her previous struggles. She sought advice from trusted mentors, including the gallery owner who had first championed her work. She also connected with other artists who shared their own experiences of managing success and staying true to their craft. Through these relationships, she developed a strong sense of purpose and clarity about the kind of artist and person she wanted to be. One day, while preparing for a major solo exhibition in New York City, Amelia received an unexpected email from an international humanitarian organization. They had heard about her story and the workshops she conducted for underprivileged youth. Inspired by her commitment to using art as a means of empowerment, they invited her to lead a series of workshops in communities affected by conflict and poverty. The opportunity resonated deeply with Amelia. Though she had achieved personal success, she had always felt a pull to give back in a meaningful way. Accepting the offer, she embarked on a journey that would take her to countries she had only read about in books or seen on the news. From refugee camps in the Middle East to remote villages in sub-Saharan Africa, Amelia used her art to bring hope and healing to people who had endured unimaginable hardship. In one particularly moving experience, she worked with a group of children in a war-torn region. Despite their circumstances, the children's enthusiasm for art was boundless. Amelia watched in awe as they poured their emotions into their drawings, creating pieces that spoke of both their pain and their resilience. One young girl painted a vibrant garden filled with flowers of every color. When Amelia asked her about it, the girl replied, "This is what I dream of, a place where everything is beautiful and there's no more fear." The workshops not only reinforced Amelia's belief in the transformative power of art, but also deepened her understanding of her own privilege and responsibility. She began incorporating these experiences into her work, creating pieces that highlighted the stories of the people she met. Her art took on a global perspective, weaving together themes of humanity, resilience, and the universal longing for peace and connection. Back home, her efforts garnered widespread acclaim. Articles and documentaries showcased her work not just as an artist, but as an advocate for change. Yet despite her growing fame, Amelia remained humble. She continued to draw strength from her roots, frequently visiting the Velvet Rose to reconnect with the community that had nurtured her. During one such visit, she noticed a young woman sitting alone at a table, sketching on a napkin. The scene reminded Amelia of herself not so long ago. She approached the woman and struck up a conversation, discovering that she was an aspiring artist who worked multiple jobs to support herself. Touched by her story, Amelia offered her mentorship, providing guidance and encouragement as the young woman pursued her dreams. This interaction planted the seed for a new initiative. Amelia decided to create a foundation dedicated to supporting emerging artists from underrepresented backgrounds. The foundation would offer grants, mentorship programs, and resources to help talented individuals overcome barriers and achieve their potential, naming it the Grace Project. In honor of the Duchess's initial act of generosity, Amelia saw the foundation as a way to pay forward the kindness that had changed her own life. The launch of the Grace Project was a landmark moment. The inaugural event, held at a grand art museum, featured an exhibition of works by the foundation's first group of beneficiaries. Amelia felt an overwhelming sense of pride as she watched these young artists step into the spotlight, their talent and stories finally receiving the recognition they deserved. Among the attendees was Kate Middleton, who had remained a steadfast supporter of Amelia's journey. The Duchess delivered a heartfelt speech at the event, praising Amelia for her dedication to empowering others. Amelia's story reminds us that when we lift each other up, we create a ripple effect of positive change, Kate said. The Grace Project is a testament to what can happen when we believe in one another. As the years went by, Amelia's influence continued to grow. She became a sought-after speaker at conferences and universities, where she shared her insights on art, resilience, and the importance of giving back. Her workshops expanded to include virtual sessions, allowing her to reach even more people around the world. Meanwhile, her own art continued to evolve, with each new series reflecting the depth and complexity of her experiences. One particularly ambitious project, Threads of Humanity, brought together artists from diverse backgrounds to collaborate on a massive mural that celebrated unity and diversity. The mural, displayed in a public square, became a symbol of hope and solidarity, attracting visitors from all over the world. Amelia viewed it as one of her most meaningful accomplishments, a reminder of the power of collective creativity. Despite her busy schedule, Amelia made it a priority to spend time with her family, particularly her younger brother Malik. Now a college graduate with a promising career in engineering, Malik often credited his sister's sacrifices and determination for his success. Their bond remained unshakable, rooted in the shared struggles and triumphs that had shaped their lives. On quiet evenings, Amelia would retreat to her studio, where she found solace in painting. These moments of solitude allowed her to reconnect with the pure joy of creation, unburdened by expectations or deadlines. Her art remained her sanctuary, a place where she could explore her thoughts and emotions freely. One day, while sorting through old sketches, Amelia came across a tattered notebook filled with drawings from her early days at the Velvet Rose. The pages were a testament to her journey, each one capturing a fragment of the person she had been. As she flipped through the notebook, she felt a profound sense of gratitude, not just for the opportunities she had received, but for the resilience that had carried her through the toughest times. Inspired, she decided to create a piece that would encapsulate her entire journey. The resulting painting, Legacy, featured a mosaic of images: a steaming cup of tea, a waitress's apron, the vibrant strokes of her art, the smiling faces of the children she had taught, and the intertwined hands of a diverse group of people. At the center was a note, the note from Kate Middleton that had changed everything. Though the words weren't legible in the painting, their essence radiated outward, connecting all the elements into a cohesive whole. When the painting was unveiled at a retrospective exhibition of her work, it drew widespread acclaim. Critics described it as a masterpiece that captures the essence of hope, kindness, and perseverance. But for Amelia, it was more than a work of art. It was a celebration of the journey that had brought her to that moment, and a tribute to everyone who had been part of it. As Amelia stood before the painting, surrounded by friends, family, and supporters, she felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. Her life had become a testament to the power of dreams, resilience, and the kindness of strangers. And though her journey was far from over, she knew that every step she took would be guided by the values that had shaped her story: compassion, creativity, and an unwavering belief in the potential of the human spirit. Amelia's world continued to expand in ways she could never have foreseen, each chapter of her life offering new dimensions of growth, fulfillment, and inspiration. As her art career flourished and her foundation thrived, she found herself delving into realms beyond the canvas, exploring the intersection of creativity, education, and advocacy on a broader scale. One of her most ambitious undertakings came when she was invited to collaborate on a public art initiative aimed at revitalizing underprivileged neighborhoods. The project, titled Echoes of the Heart, involved transforming abandoned buildings and neglected public spaces into vibrant works of art. Amelia worked closely with community leaders, architects, and local residents to ensure that the murals reflected the unique histories and aspirations of each area. In one neighborhood, Amelia collaborated with a group of former factory workers to create a mural that celebrated their resilience and the industrial heritage that had defined their community. The mural featured towering gears and cogs interwoven with images of families, gardens, and the local river, a tribute to both the area's past and its hopes for renewal. The project became a source of pride for the residents, sparking conversations about preserving their history while embracing the future. Amelia's role in these initiatives was more than that of an artist. She became a facilitator of dialogue, a connector of people who might not otherwise have crossed paths. Through her work, she fostered a sense of unity and belonging, showing how art could be a catalyst for healing and transformation. Her efforts did not go unnoticed. Amelia received invitations to speak at global conferences on urban renewal and cultural preservation, where she shared her experiences of using art to uplift marginalized communities. She emphasized the importance of collaboration, insisting that true change could only happen when local voices were at the center of the conversation. Despite her expanding influence, Amelia remained deeply committed to her personal artistic journey. She began experimenting with mixed media, incorporating materials like recycled metals and fabrics into her work. This shift not only allowed her to explore new textures and forms, but also underscored her belief in sustainability and the interconnectedness of all things. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, What are your thoughts on the emotional impact of the note in this story? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.